An outstanding feat. I'm Tiara Medley with how a local high school is making history.
Spring is here again, but the pandemic still remains among us. I'm Trent Croce, and I spoke with an expert on how far we've come and what we can expect 2 years later.
Your news in 10 minutes starts now. Spring has sprung, but the pandemic is still in play.
And as newer variants arise and the weather changes again, a pediatric infectious disease doctor tells us what to look out for. It's now the third spring since the start of the pandemic, and Lucas County is currently at low risk for COVID. Yet more people getting out again and emerging variants can raise concerns. However, for Dr. Deepa Mukundan, she is confident with where we are.
The reason for that is we have several tools. We have understood the virus a little better than what we knew 2 years ago. And we have also evolved in treatments as well as prevention.
And these new tools have helped us create deeper technology and science at facilities to help understand how to combat the diseases.
Progressively with time and full understanding of how the disease has progressed, we have knowledge about who can get the disease and who can get really severe disease.
And to continue to understand and protect ourselves against COVID this year, Dr. Mukundan says we should be aware of our own risk factors, research virus levels within the community, update ourselves on current interventions available, as well as get immunized. And if you have been exposed, continue to follow safe protocols such as distancing, wearing a mask, and getting tested. Also for Dr. Mukundan, she prepares for COVID risk levels as if it were a forecast.
Each day is like the weather. I will look at what is the risk in the community and what is it that I'm going to be doing, and am I putting myself at risk or not? And as you get used to doing that, it's easy enough to live your life without worrying too much about it.
Like many of us, she is hoping to have an enjoyable spring and summer.
So I am very hopeful, unlike in the spring of 2020 when the learning curve was steep and we did not know much about this virus.
Trent, lots of people may want to get out and travel this year. What advice did the pediatrician give to parents who may want to pack up and take their kids to Disney World?
Well, she did say to prepare by researching the areas you are going to with their community virus levels. And also, if you are immunized and you have little to zero risk factors, that there shouldn't be too big of a concern.
We're also hearing reports of newer variants in other countries. How concerned did she say the U.S. has to be about those?
And while they are concerning, she said with the understanding of one strain of the virus, we have deeper technology to combat the newer strains quicker, so she is more hopeful this time around and confident. And for COVID information within the community, don't forget you can check the Lucas County Health Department's website. And for COVID information nationally, check the CDC's website. We have links to those on our website, ut10news.com. Local high school students are singing a joyful tune.
The choir at Rogers High School competed in district competition and for the first time ever made it through the state competition.
What?
This is the moment Rogers Choir found out they qualified for state competition.
I was scared we weren't about to go to state, but then Miss Water told me that we got straight ones.
To those who don't know, straight ones means this choir didn't just skate by. They passed with flying colors. Students say that's because their choir director truly believes that each individual is like a single note making a masterpiece.
She played a very important role. She worked us hard to get us to state.
If we had any other teacher, we probably wouldn't have went to state.
Going to state is a fun experience, but for some of these kids, it means so much more because singing isn't just a hobby.
When I get older, this is what I want to do.
That part should be super easy.
Dr. Joan Waldorf hopes this experience will help shine a light on her students.
I'm hoping that the community starts coming to our concerts, and I'm hoping that, that they support the music programs in our school.
Because Rogers qualified for state, the choir program has already began to grow.
We've already got 64 kids signed up for one choir next year.
Students feel
it's going to be very competitive in state.
But they're
confident we gonna win. I know we is.
State competition this year will be on April 29th in Van Buren, Ohio. No recordings are allowed, so it won't be broadcast. If you want to see it, you'll have to hit the road. Some young women at a local high school are expanding their efforts to help students in need. The Young Women of Excellence's Wigwam Closet at Waite High School provides students basic necessities they may not have at home. Items include jackets, coats, gloves, hats, soaps, and feminine products. All students have to do is ask any teacher to be let in, and they can grab whatever items they need, no questions asked. Advisors noticed that due to COVID, students have been more reluctant to reach out for help, so the Women of Excellence rebuilt the closet to make it more accessible. There's now a grab-and-go system where every Wednesday after school, students can show up to the cafeteria to grab whatever they need and be on their way, no questions asked.
We have just been rebuilding and kind of getting it out there again. It is open for anyone in need if they, contact us or ask. It's there.
The group isn't taking donations at the moment, but say they will in the near future. To help, you may reach out to Wade High School. Now it's time to turn things over to Trent with news making headlines across America.
Thank you, Tiara. It's now 1 month into the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and in a report by AP News, President Joe Biden and other NATO allies will be joining together today, March 24th. They will discuss defense for Ukraine and respond to economic and security fallout spreading across Europe and the world. Yesterday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for global rallies to stand with Ukraine that would begin today. And this week on Capitol Hill, confirmation hearings for Ketanji Brown Jackson, President Biden's nominee for the Supreme Court. Jackson's legal record was criticized, specifically the sentences from the past child pornography cases. But Democrats say Republicans are distorting her record. Meanwhile, the most tenured justice on the High Court was admitted to the hospital late last week. In a press release, a court spokesperson said Justice Clarence Thomas experienced flu-like symptoms. He's being treated for an infection. Disney employees joined for a full-length walkout Tuesday in protest of the company's response to a proposed Florida legislative bill. The so-called Don't Say Gay bill would limit the discussion of gender and sexuality in schools. Multiple sources reported that the employees are calling for Disney to stop their political donations to certain Florida politicians, as well as protect LGBTQIA+ staff from such legislation. And the Oscars are back. This year, Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes will host the 94th annual awards show, with Beyonce, Billie Eilish and Finneas, Reba McEntire, and Sebastian Yatra performing their nominated original songs during the show as well. Among the film awards' 23 categories, The Power of the Dog, Dune, Belfast, and West Side Story have claimed the most nominations. The Oscars will air Sunday on ABC at 8 p.m.
Local medical students are embracing their artistic side as the annual artist showcase is underway at UToledo's Health Science campus. Take a short ride up the elevator to the 4th floor of Mulford Library, and you will see 50 works of art on display from 23 artists, including Health Science campus staff, students, and faculty. The works cover several mediums: photography, painting, drawing, a few sculptures, and for the first time ever, you can find a student-made medical animation.
It's also a great way for students in the health sciences to get in touch with their creative side.
The showcase is open until April 13th. Now it's time for sports.
Caleb, it looks like there's still some basketball going on.
That's right, and although the women's team didn't make the NCAA tournament, they're still playing in the WNIT tournament. I'll have how they've played so far up to this point, and a couple more stories right after this break.
You now have more ways to watch the University of Toledo's award-winning student newscast.
Thanks to our broadcast partners, you can catch UT 10 News
And sports in more places.
We're live at UT10news.com and on YouTube Thursdays at noon and 12:30.
Catch replays on Buckeye Channels 109 and 609 on Thursday evenings at 5 and 5:30 and Sundays at 9 a.m.
And on WGTE Public Media Friday evenings at 6:30.
This is your UT 10 Sports Report. I'm Caleb Gill. Some Toledo football players took the field for the NFL Pro Day earlier this week, but first, the women's basketball team took the court for the WNIT tournament. The first round of the WNIT for Toledo had the home team coming out hot against the Houston Baptist Huskies. Rockets would open the game scoring 9 of the first 11 points, quickly putting the Huskies in a bind, with Rockets leading HBU 26-11 at the end of the first. Houston Baptist was able to control most of the second quarter after scoring the first 8 points in the quarter, but thanks in part to a 3 from Sophia Wire before the half, Rockets took a 7-point lead into the intermission. Both teams struggled coming out of the half, but the Huskies went into the fourth on an 8-2 run, putting them within striking distance of the Rockets. The Midnight Blue and Gold, though, ended any hopes of a late game comeback from HBU in the fourth, thanks to an 11-2 run of their own. And 4 points to end the night from Nan Garcia was enough for the Rockets to move on to round 2 of the WNIT, beating Houston Baptist with a final score of 61-51. In round 2, UT took on a familiar foe in Kent State. The Golden Flashes went on to score the first 5 points of the match, allowing them to have a lead over the Rockets for about half of the opening quarter. But a big first quarter from center Hannah Novorowski scored 8 points in the quarter, along with Sophia Wire splashing one in from beyond the arc with under 5 left, gave the Rockets a 14-11 lead that the home team would not look back from. Toledo outscored Kent State in the second 20-9, giving the Rockets a 42-27 lead into the half. Kent State would actually outscore Toledo in the third 20-15, but the closest they would come within the Rockets would still only be 10 points. Quenisha Lockett got going in the fourth, and that would help to continue stretching Toledo's lead late in the game, with the Rockets beating the Golden Flashes 79-59. The Rockets will travel to Marquette to take on the Golden Eagles tonight for the round 3 of the WNIT tournament. That game will be on at 8 p.m. Draft season is here for the NFL, and with that comes Pro Days. For players hoping to hear their names called in April, this is one last opportunity to showcase their talents in front of NFL evaluators. 15 Rock football players participated in the Pro Day, with all of them sharing the same goal, to get drafted to play in the National Football League. Pro Days are a combination of workouts for players to test different skill sets in front of NFL scouts. Those workouts include different positional drills to the vertical jump, the shuttle drill, the 3-cone, and the headliner, of course, the 40-yard dash. Of those players hoping to get drafted, safety Tyson Anderson has been one that many scouts have had their eyes on. Anderson was the only Rocket to be invited to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis back in February. Running the second fastest 40-yard dash at the Combine for safeties, running a 4.36, has helped to improve his stock.
They love my versatility, they love my special teams play, they love my length and my speed. That's for sure.
Other players, like running back Brian Koback and cornerback Sam Womack, were not invited to Indy, but they still feel they have the skills to compete at the next level.
My knack for the ball, I'm always around the ball. I work direct for PBU, so they like that I'm around the ball. Hopefully in the NFL I turn into picks.
Womack was definitely impressive in front of scouts with his 4.39 40 time, but Koback was impressive as well, running a 4.47 and a vertical jump of 40.5 inches. Compared to the other running backs that were invited to Indy, Koback's jump was higher than all of them. The NFL Draft starts with the first round on April 28th and lasts until April 30th. Those who do not hear their names during the draft could still sign on with one of the 32 teams as an undrafted free agent following the conclusion of the NFL Draft. Toledo Celtics Soccer Club has opened its doors for parents who are looking for extracurricular activities for their kids. This year, the Toledo Leprechauns Soccer League has scaled down the COVID-19 protocols so that children from the ages of 3 to 8 can have fun while learning the regiments of soccer in a safe environment. The director of Toledo Celtics, Yusuf Allah Akbar, told UT10 that soccer is a great way for kids to learn while having fun.
First of all, we think soccer is an incredible sport. We think it's a great way to keep kids active, to get kids in a team environment, and to get kids outdoors, which is something we really, really need right now through this pandemic.
And that'll be it for sports.
Thank you, Caleb. Some exciting news. You now have more ways to watch UT10. Newscast replays are on WGTE Public Media on Friday nights at 6:30.
And thanks to our new partners at Buckeye Cable, you can catch us on BCAN cable channels 109 and 609 on Thursday evenings at 5 and 5:30 and Sundays at 9 a.m.
And of course, you can still listen to 88.3 WXUT Saturday mornings at 7:45 for the UT10 Weekly News Update.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Good show.